What's up, guys? It's Crash, and man, oh man, oh man, has it been a very long time since we've talked about Battlefield on this channel. It's been a very long time. The OGs know that's how the channel got started in the lead up to 2042, and then we know how that turned out. So we're going to go into the next Battlefield eyes wide open, definitely, for sure. They have a lot to prove to us, and I think that kind of summarizes everything that was said in this new article, this new interview with Vince Zampella. You guys know Vince started Infinity Ward, started some of the most modern Call of Duties, as well as went off to Respawn Entertainment, where we got Titanfall series, as well as some Apex Legends he's been a part of. And now EA has put him in charge of the Battlefield series. And in this article, it's the first official reveal and talk of what is to come with the Battlefield franchise. And I debated doing this video or not because of, you know, how kind of badly burned I was personally, just my personal opinions on Battlefield 2042. And we just have to take everything with a grain of salt, because in this article, let's talk about what he says, is everything we want to hear. Okay, but we are to the point with Battlefield after the last couple where it's, you gotta put your money where your mouth is. It's been so obvious what the successful recipe should be that the vast majority of the community wants. We want a class system, we want a server browser, we want a modern game, we want we want it back to the roots. We want essentially what the, you know, the kind of the Frostbite engine that was running really well inside of Battlefield 5, with more of the gameplay mechanics, the feel, the vibe of the Battlefield 3 and 4 series, and the immersion and the realism feeling, the audio and everything of Battlefield 1. That's been what the vast majority of everyone has wanted. But here's your first look. We can't really tell much from this. I'm sure there's going to be some people that go wild and crazy into this, but you are seeing your very first official concept art of the next Battlefield game. I can't really tell where this is at off the top of my head. It looks to be definitely somewhere in Europe, with, you know, kind of those red buildings, somewhere France or maybe on the Mediterranean coast or something like that. But it definitely looks to be in Europe. We see ships now. Keep in mind, you know, we see ships and we instantly think naval warfare. With Battlefield 2042, you started out on a ship on the Exodus, yet there was not a single boat in the game. Then you see helicopters up above over there on the top left as well. We see fire. Does that mean Firestorm? Dang it, man. I don't know. I really loved Firestorm, and I'd really like to see Battlefield take another stab at the Battle Royale space. I know that'll get a bunch of you guys mad, but don't get it mistaken when I do say that. They have a lot ahead of them to return Battlefield to its roots. They have to nail this and make a really good core Battlefield game for those of us that like to play Breakthrough, Conquest, and all those things that missed some of the awesome times that we had back in the day with Battlefield 3, 4, and 1. So here we go. Let's talk about what Vince Zampella said in this article. This is our first information on the next Battlefield. I debated making this or not, but I have some things to say about it, and we have to keep in mind, many of us with Battlefield are in a show me, don't tell me state, but let's see what Vince has to say. So I highlighted some of the main things within this article, and you can see if he looks back to the peak pinnacle of Battlefield, he says that Battlefield 3 and the 4 era where everything was modern. And I think we have to get back to the core of what Battlefield is and do it amazingly well. And then we'll see where it goes from there. But I think for me, it's the peak of Battlefieldness that in that Battlefield 3 and 4 days. So it's nostalgic for players, for me, and the teams even. Those are kind of the heyday, although I would say 1942 also. So he's saying their return to the modern setting. So we know that it's going to be modern. It's not going to be future like 2042. It's not going to be older like Battlefield 5 and 1. So we're going with the modern. That's the first win. That's what many of us wanted to see too. Then he goes on to address the 128 players. Talks about their testing and for the sake of, you know, just the number of players that he says right here, it didn't make any sense to have 128 players. We were excited about it, but it sounds cool on paper. In all actuality, playing it, you know, when the rubber meets the road, it was not that fun. So he says, like you said, the maps, once they get to a certain scale, they become different. He said it's a different play space, and I think you have to design around that. So we were designing something that is more akin to previous Battlefields. So again, he's saying the right stuff here. I'd rather have nice, dense, really nice, he says nice twice, well-designed play spaces. Some of them are really good. I can't wait for you to see some of them. So there's already maps made. There's already maps out there. And he says nice and dense. You know what I'm talking about? So, you know, when 2042 came out, we had massive expanses of nothing to run across and fight across. There was huge distances between points with really nothing there. And the vast emptiness of the maps that all had to be reworked. There was hardly any post-launch content for Battlefield 2042 because they had to rework the old ones. So sounds like, you know, they're going to try and get it right the first time. Here we go, guys. I'm going to say this twice. Specialists are out this time around. I will say it one more time. Specialists are also out this time around. So it wasn't there for I wasn't there for 2042. He's basically saying, hey, I didn't do 2042. I don't know what the rationale was, but for me, it's like the team tried something new. You have to applaud them for that effort. I do agree. Not everybody liked it, but you got to try things. It didn't work. It didn't fit. Specialists will not be coming back. We were very worried about that specialists were going to make a comeback. They were going to try to continue the narrative and the lore of the specialists. Thank goodness that's not coming back. So classes are kind of at the core of Battlefield, and we're going back to that. So classes are going to return. So that's really cool. He did say he didn't want to say that Battlefield 2042 was a failure, and he commends the team for trying to learn and get things back on track. I disagree. I think Battlefield 2042 was a big failure and did a lot of damage to the community. He goes on to say, he stays vague with what's coming, right? We're super early. We're probably a year from like where this game will probably launch in fall of next year. I would say, I hope. And he says, yeah, it's definitely betting bigger on Battlefield. It's going in, expanding what Battlefield is. We have to have the core. The core of Battlefield players know what they want. They've been with us forever, and they've been amazing supporters. We need to earn their trust back and get back on our side. And then when it's expanding out, getting more players into the universe and seeing what we can do, so you want a different experience. You don't have to leave the Battlefield, so you can experience more things within the Battlefield universe. So we're expanding the offerings that we're given. So that is scary a little bit, because that's like the third mode, right? Or whatever they're going to come out with, the next different weird mode that they're going to have. And I have a lot of things to say about that, and I'm hopeful that it's something good. I thought, man, can you imagine in Battlefield 5 if that game would have came out working well and what people had wanted? And then as good as Firestorm actually was, if that was free to play, it released right alongside of Apex Legends, which was free to play. It was touted by all the big streamers at the time. And then you had Firestorm, which was an awesome battle royale, but it was like stuck behind a paywall. So if you had a really good third different kind of mode that kind of appeals to the masses of the first person shooter space while stays true to the mechanics that are in Battlefield, then you bring in more players. They think it's a really cool. They see how fun vehicle combat, large scale combat, the beautiful maps and the Frostbite engine can be. And then you bring them into the fold of the core Battlefield players who are out here on the 32 versus 32, right? Or the 64. We're not doing 64 versus 64. I'm not even going to say it. The 32 versus 32 players again. So if you look at the best Battlefields, he said they've outsold some of the Call of Duties. I remember the heyday. I just remember the Battlefield 1 trailer, man. That was when Infinite Warfare was out. Battlefield 1, like that's what got me into the Battlefield camp, dude. That trailer was insane. He thinks it can absolutely compete with Call of Duty. I don't think that's what they should be working on. He said, is that what we're going for? He said, not directly. So I think that's smart. We're not looking to take down Call of Duty. We're making something that's different. We're making something that's us. But yeah, it definitely has the possibility. So hopefully he's listening and going to get that core Battlefield audience and then make something that's good, that draws new players in. That's always been like my standard goal would be to make a really good Battlefield game. Server browser, classes, modern, lots of maps, like all this stuff that we really want. Balanced gunplay, finished maps, like all that stuff that every core Battlefield fan wants. And then like the golden standard, like the S tier thing you could do is have a third or a different mode that's like free to play that could bring everybody into the game and grow that core Battlefield audience. So it sounds like that's what they're shooting for, but they were also kind of shooting for that with the last one as well. Then you have he basically talks about, they're talking about making like a Battlefield movie or something. He said it's a making opportunity of your franchise out there. It's not core of what we're doing. So they're a game first. Some people were actually talking about like the Fallout series and other, Halo and those other games that have become films or TV series. And he says they would look at it if it came, to be the right time, but it's not the core business. So that's the balance. He said he'd love to see it, but they're not looking like that for Battlefield right now. So that's good too, right? We're focused on the game, not anything else. So then the article says it's unclear when the next Battlefield will release, but there are signs that EA is ramping up for 2025. That's what I'm hoping for too. Now the game is being play tested every week already. So we're that far along. And they plan to launch a community program next year, although it's unclear if it's a closed beta or something else. That was a big problem with Battlefield 2042. They brought community on to give feedback on the game way too late, and that feedback was not listened to. So that's a really good sign that they're doing that too. And he goes on to say, you know, we have a program that we're going to announce next year around getting more community in, because that's the kind of core what we have to do, get the community back on our side and get that trust back. So basically everything in here is Vince saying the right stuff. And I'll scroll back to the top so you guys can take a look at the concept art again. There's the concept art. And you know, basically this whole thing is Vince saying exactly the right stuff. But let me know down in the comments if that's enough for you, if you're excited again, how you feel about it. We're talking no pre-orders and stuff like that, but just where you're at on this. They, in my opinion, are a show me, don't tell me, but these things sound really good. Guys, let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below. I'm gonna stay calm and actually wait till we see something to get excited. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.